How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the first actual video of this channel. My name is Red Husky, and today I'm going to be going over why Appletun is uniquely good against Chesnaut. He's got a lot going for him here, and I want to show you more or less what goes into deciding what would be best for every raid. Alright, so first thing we want to do here is focus on Chesnaut himself. Two things to look at here, first of which being his base stats. As you can see, he comes in with a defense stat of 122, which is fairly high. His special defense, though, is only at 75, which makes him a prime target for a special attacker like Appletun. Now, second thing we want to look at is his hidden ability, which is Bulletproof, and he will be coming into the raid with this. As you can see here, Bulletproof makes the Pokemon immune to ball and bomb moves, which sounds kind of confusing, but it makes more sense once you start to realize what moves that affects. So things like Electro Ball, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball, or things like Egg Bomb, Magnet Bomb, Mud Bomb, Sludge Bomb, all will be affected by this. He does not get impacted by any of these moves. Most important of these moves, though, is Acid Spray, because a lot of raid guides depend on Acid Spray because not only is it a damaging move, it also lowers their special defense by 2 stages, which is something you definitely want for a Pokemon like this. Unfortunately, we don't have access to it, but we do have access to something very similar with Appletun. So here we have our golden boy, our apple pie little guy, and at a glance, there's not a whole lot to like here. He has a base stat total of 485, which is not a whole lot compared to most other dragon types and most other special attackers. With HP at 110 and special attack at 100, that's pretty much what's going to carry him here. The abilities don't really help much either. These two are related to berries, and this one's related to fire and ice type moves. None of this is really going to be helpful to you. So far, not looking too great. Compound that with the fact that my mom is deathly allergic to apples, and I would never have been allowed to own one. We're not looking so hot so far. What does matter is this move right here, Apple Acid. It has a base power of 80, and it has an additional effect where it lowers the special defense by a stage of 1. So it's kind of like Acid Spray, except instead of doing a drop of 2, it does just 1. So you'll have to hit it more times to make it truly effective, but you will be buffing your team while also doing some damage here. Alright, so now back to the game. We're going to be looking at Chesnaught's moveset. We're going to be dealing with Earthquake, Hammer Arm, Stone Edge, and Wood Hammer. All of these are physical attacks. So when I did this with my buddy yesterday, we had him run Hisui and Goodra with Chilling Water to debuff his attack stat as well. It's a pretty strong combo. I recommend trying that out. So there is another thing I want you to notice. He's got no status affecting moves, which means we are free reign to go ham. As long as we're doing damage faster than he's killing us, we won't have to worry about paralysis or being put to sleep every 3rd turn. He also will never remove status effects from himself, so once you get those 6 Apple Acids off, you can use something that deals more damage if you want to. I didn't even do that. I just used Giga Drain. Between these 2 moves, you won't really need to worry about having to use anything else. Let me show you how this works in action. Alright, so all of this was recorded earlier, so I'm not going to be giving live commentary, but let's just go ahead and run through what happened. This is a solo run, so I'm just going to be going with NPC characters, and right off the bat, we have a great teammate in Kylie with her Tauros. Intimidators are really good for this, since Chesnaught can't remove status effects from itself. Every time that Tauros dies and comes back, that is another attack drop. I think there's another person who has a Staraptor with Intimidate, which is also really nice to have, but we like Kylie. She's great to have on the squad. So right away he goes for the Iron Defense, which doesn't bother us at all since we're a special attacker. Eli with a Guardy probably doesn't care either. And so he hits us with a Stone Edge, which hurts us a little bit, but thanks to Kylie, it doesn't hurt us too bad. So we'll go ahead and hit him with an Apple Acid, and hey, look at that, somebody already paralyzed it. He will never get rid of that paralysis, and that just helps us out immensely for the rest of the raid. Second Apple Acid, and it already did a ton more damage than the first one. Slow and steady is the name of the game here. We're doing little chip shots now, so that we can do a lot more damage later. Paralysis has already come in clutch for us here. Not sure who did it, but it's really nice when those NPC characters pull through for you. Apple Acid number 3, and oh no, our buddy Eli goes down. We do lose some time for this, but we are still beating the clock here. Remember that we'll be doing much heftier damage once we get off all 6 of our Apple Acid attacks. Keep an eye on your PowerPoint counter. In our case, we want to keep going until we have about 8 PP left, and then we can start using our better attacks. I missed my Terastalize here. Feel free to roast me in the comments for that. But it's actually not a big deal because we're way ahead of the meter here. We do take a hit here that puts us in the yellow, but our defense is holding. Our apple pie guy has got that thick crust. But so is Chesnaught's apparently, as he puts up his shield. Now, if you're not familiar with how the shield works, it basically drops all attacks by 75%. So this is where you'll want to Terastalize, because when you do, and you use an attack that matches your TERA type, that debuff goes down to only 25%. Even when you don't use an attack that matches, the debuff will only be 65%. So it's always a good idea to terastalize and use a move that matches your TERA type, even if that's not the super effective thing. In our case, it is the super effective thing, so that's even better. So here we go for the terastalize and a 5th apple acid. Do be careful by this point because your health is going to start getting pretty low. If you have Tauros, Staraptor, or Arboliva in your raid team, you're probably still good by this point. If you don't have any of them, you want to keep an eye on your health and make sure that you're not terastalizing only to get killed immediately. You might have seen Kylie's Tauros go down and come back in and get off that second Intimidate. If not for her, we would have died by this point. But because of her, we survived that hit just barely, and now we're going to go for a Giga Drain. And as you can see here, it heals us right back up to full, even with the shield up. All made possible by 5 apple acids and Kylie's Tauros. Did I mention that we love Kylie? So I made a mistake here and I went for another Giga Drain instead of an apple acid. Remember, I've only used 5 at this point, and his special defense can still go down by 1 more. But as you can clearly see, we're already so far ahead of the timer that we can afford to make mistakes like this. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit from here because it's all just an attack spam from here on out. I also body pressed by mistake here, but again, Appletun is so foolproof here that it doesn't even matter. And boom, just like that, Chesnaut goes down and our apple pie guy wins the day. And it's as simple as that. We take down Chesnaut with barely any effort whatsoever, we get some XP candies in a bottle cap, and we get to enjoy that sweet, satisfying victory music. I hope this helped you beat this raid, and more importantly, I hope it helped you understand how you need to be thinking as you're preparing for these more difficult raids. I have been Red Husky, and I thank you all for watching. Until next time.